What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high-level technicians operating globally and beyond. So listen, today I wanted to go over a video that I saw a while ago that I've been meaning to do a response to, but there have been so many things that have been popping up of interest that I wanted to cover, but finally today it actually popped back up in one of my feeds, so I felt that it was a good time to address a response to this particular video. I'm going to link the video down below so that you can watch it whenever you'd like. I know that a lot of people aren't replaying a lot of probable copywritten material in their videos, so we want to be mindful of that. But the link is definitely down below. You just feel free to head on over and take a look at the full video. But today I'm just going to do a basic analysis of this particular video because it was really interesting to me, and I'm going to do the initial analysis for the YouTube side, but the more high-level stuff I'm gonna slide over onto the Patreon side, and the material that will get relatively graphic, I'll save that for Patreon. So just as an initial analysis of this video, it was hilarious. It was really interesting, and it was funny because I have been privy to conversations like this before, and they really hammed it up, I want to say, for radio and for video, because I'm going to be 100% honest with you, gentlemen. These conversations go on every single day in every single room where you get two or more women, and they're usually not really giggling and laughing and being so animated about it. Most of these conversations that take place like this are just matter-of-factly, like, you know, trading cards or sharing meatloaf recipes or whatever. They just casually talk about men's size, and that's one of the first things that they actually talk about when two women get together or a group of women get together that are familiar with each other. Let me clarify that. One of the first things that they talk about is they compare notes about sex and different aspects of the sex that they're having and or not having, and the men that they're having sex with or would like to have sex with. Remember the previous videos that I did about the office fuck file, videos I talked about regarding levels of the D. I'll link a few of those videos down below because I think they're relevant to this particular conversation. But I want to keep focused on the central theme of this particular video and ask the question: is it alpha if your size isn't massive? Or does size determine whether or not you're alpha? So keep that question in mind as I go through the video analysis. So basically, it was a radio station out of Atlanta, and the host was interviewing a guest named Shanae, and basically she left a voicemail about her non-sexual BF, and how he wined and dined her for like 5 months and showed her, you know, his nice car, his nice crib. They went on trips, they did all kinds of nice stuff, bottles of champagne popping and shit like that. And I'm gonna pause it right here because the first thing that I would want to point out is that all of this stuff took place over a 5-month period. 5 months, and they did not have sex. Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind is she's definitely got a maintenance man. She's definitely having, you know, work done in certain aspects of her sexuality with either her head man, the man that just comes over to give her head, or the pipe layer, the guy that comes through and just lays that pipe. Now, these two roster positions for her, these are men that she was formerly in contact with. That way she does not increase her body count number while she is being courted by this 5-month guy. So keep that in mind, because a woman can say that she's celibate, or she can say that she's currently not seeing anyone while she's, keeping her eyes on a prospective prize. I thought that was the first interesting aspect of this thing to mention off the bat. But another interesting aspect was that once they finally got together, the guy had set up, a trip for her birthday to Vegas, had the fancy suite, had a nice candlelit dinner, champagne again, flowers laid out. And then they got back to the room, and she took her clothes off, he took his clothes off, and she basically damn near died, in her words. Go ahead and look at the video. I think it's interesting. But over the course of this particular interview, it was made known that she said two things. She said that the guy had sent her a dick pic that was like all angled out, so that it was like zoomed in or something like that, so that she was under the impression that he had something that he was working with. Now, that's another kind of red flag for me, but I kind of see where she's coming from, given that she has children from a previous marriage, and she felt that she was in a place in her life where she wanted to, quote unquote, do things the right way with this particular guy. See, he had flashed the cash when he first met her. He had showed her all of these things, and that's a trait that, blue pill, beta, or Carltons do, because what they want to do is set this scene about all of the things that they could potentially do for her. Let me be clear about that. Betas, blue pillars, Carltons try to set up a scene or a lifestyle of what they can do for a woman. Alphas, ASPs, USPs, select men, masters of the universe set up scenes about what they can do to a woman. That's what is let in. See, we lead with nature. We just want to work in rhythm and in harmony with the natural order of things. This relatively new stage that we're in human history regarding all of these high-rise buildings and indoor plumbing and air conditioning units and mass transportation, that's all a relatively new aspect of nature and of life. So when a person leads with those things and says that, these are all of these great things that I can provide for you, that becomes what she views him as. And so further on in this particular video, when they were lamenting over the radio about him having a small member, all of the things that he had presented prior to that moment for 5 months meant absolutely nothing. In that moment, it all melted away. And it's hilarious how the guest goes in and talks about how she felt let down, she felt insulted, she felt disappointed. And what's interesting about that is, in a previous video that I posted about a guy or men who get friend zoned by some women because his member's actually too big for her, and they can't really enjoy sexual intercourse because they're not compatible. However, they may be still cool friends, cool people to hang out, and they bring some type of value or benefit to each other's lives. They just can't really have compatible sex. So it's interesting when she went into a breakdown of how disappointed she was, how hurt she was, how betrayed she felt. And a lot of callers into that radio station tried to flip it back on her, saying that, you got all these hair extensions, you got makeup, you already got kids and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, the reason why she was disappointed and why she felt betrayed is because the guy, the 5-month guy, did not lead with what's natural. When you lead with what's natural, you're leading with yourself. You're leading with that sensuality, because at the end of the day, it's the sensuality, it's the sex that's going to be the transactional space and that exchange of energy in any sustainable relationship. Write that down. Okay, write that down. But anyway, back to the video. It was interesting how a lot of the callers, like I said, when they called in, and she went back and forth with them. But at the end of the day, I think those callers represented that beta blue pill energy, or that Carlton energy, and that once she reacted to his truth after the fact, 5 months after the fact, whereas had he led with who he really was instead of the mask, as Ron Will would say, the material things, then all of this other stuff, all the money that he spent, which probably was nothing, because it sounds like he was the type of person who could afford those things. However, at the end of the day, had he been upfront and honest about it and what he was looking for and what he needed, she could have been the same way 5 months ago. And so all of this anticipation, all of these things would not have been built up in a certain way. So in that moment of truth, when he dropped his draws, she wouldn't have, you know what I'm saying, like completely like shut him down, canceled all his contacts, unfriended him on Facebook and all that shit, and then ultimately went on the radio and put him on blast, now on a video on YouTube for all of infamy. So a couple things really come to mind before I get into the really get down portion of this video. And there's a statement that goes around in certain communities. I'll say the red pill community or the manosphere or whatever. And it's this. It's how, in my opinion, this is how perceived inadequacies can turn men into incels or woman haters or whatever. This is the statement. You can either love a woman or you can understand her. That's an interesting statement right there. That's saying that a man, given whatever his station is, can't love a woman. You can either love a woman, meaning that you're blind to her truth, you're blind to her nature, you're blind to what she is, or you can opt to not love a woman, but you can understand her. So that sounds like you can tolerate a woman, but you can't love her. That's what it says to me. I would like to offer a counter to that particular statement. I say that ASPs, which stand for Alpha Showpiece, USPs, which stands for Ugly Sexy Players, Select Men, Masters of the Universe, etc., feel this way about women. We love women because we understand ourselves.